Hey allihopa! It's time for another sit down video, and today I'm going to talk to you about my birth plan. And just a little heads up or disclaimer beforehand, as I was planning this video, just kind of writing down what I wanted to say, I realized that this is probably gonna be like part video for you guys telling you what my plan is, and part therapy for me, just talking through my worries and anxieties and my history. And yeah, so it's gonna be rambly, and if that's not your kind of video, then probably this isn't for you, so you have been warned. Also, I realized that birth plan isn't the best word for it, because as everyone else has said in all the other birth plan videos before this one, you can't plan your birth. You can't know what's going to happen. I actually wrote down a few kind of names for it that I think would be better, like birth wishes or birth preferences or birth guideline. That's other words that I've heard in other videos, because yeah, I guess it could turn out just the way you want it to, but I think in most cases it doesn't. Like Tyrion, my firstborn, was born at week 34, and that was definitely not in any plan anywhere. So also I feel like some women feel like they need to write their birth plan down so that they don't change their mind, or kind of like to have it, to almost to have like their family and their doctors be able to point to this and say like, look here, you said you didn't want an epidural. Epidural. I think that's what it's called. Or like, look, you wrote down that you want to give birth in the tub. Now let's do it. And I am not like that, I guess. I feel more like I want to trust myself in the moment. If I change something that I have written down in my birth plan weeks beforehand and I change that on the spot, I am not going to accept anyone, like my husband or anyone, saying like, oh, but you didn't want this beforehand. Well, that doesn't matter. I'm here now and this is what I want. So I also don't have that aspect of the birth plan being like a way from me to remind myself or for others to remind me what I actually want, because I'm gonna trust myself in the moment. So yeah, that's kind of like a couple of little disclaimers before we get started with the birth plan. And yes, I'm gonna keep calling it the birth plan because I think that's just the word that's been most commonly used, and yeah, it's just easier that way. But yeah, it is what it is. So I think that it kind of works differently in Sweden, where I live, compared to America, which I think is the most common of all the like birth plan YouTube videos, or at least from the ones that I've watched. Because as far as I understand, a lot of women like write their birth plan down on their own and they bring it to the hospital the day that they're giving birth. For me, it's not like that. I went to my midwife today for a regular checkup, and part of this checkup was writing my birth plan down. And that's not something that I do. She writes it all down in the computer and it gets included in my medical charts or medical records. And so everyone at the hospital who's there when I give birth can read this, and I think they actually have to. They have to read through your birth plan that your midwife has written down there, and that's very good and very reassuring. I like that system, and I'm sure you can write down your own birth plan as well and bring it and have them read it. I'm sure they would read it, but it's just not necessary. At least I have never felt the need to do that. So that's how it works here. So my birth plan is done and written and probably in my medical records already. So as for my history with giving birth, I have 2 kids. I have given birth to them vaginally, and I have been very anxious and very scared leading up to both births. With the first one, I started counseling at a specific clinic for like birth or delivery fear, I guess, or anxiety. It's called Aurora Clinics, and I went to the Aurora Clinic at the hospital where I then ended up giving birth. So I went through counseling. I don't remember how many times I saw them, but I saw both a midwife and a psychiatrist, and yeah, we just went through what the big points were with me being so scared of giving birth, and we had a plan. I think they added things to my medical records just to show that she has been here with us, and this is what we've talked about, and this is what you need to think about, like at the hospital once she comes in. And that was very good. And I actually even had in my medical records that a doctor at this clinic had given me the go-ahead, I guess, or the allowed me, I guess you could say, to have a C-section, because in Sweden C-sections aren't elective. You can't decide that you want a C-section. It has to be medically like there has to be a medical reason if you have a C-section, just because they're obviously, this is a sore topic for a lot of people, but research does show that C-sections aren't as good as vaginal births, like in the broad scheme of things. In the whatever, you know what I mean. So I'm guessing that's the reasoning for it, but you can also get a C-section if you have very, very strong anxiety and fear, and that's kind of what happened with me. They judged my fear to be strong enough that I could have a C-section, because that lessened my fear. I mean, for some people probably the possibility of having to have a C-section is the cause of their fear, so obviously it's different. But for me, I really just, it was very strange, because I wanted a C-section for myself, for my anxiety and my fear, because it lessened that, because I was very worried about the pain and everything. But I also didn't want to have a C-section, just because I knew it wasn't as good physically, and I knew it wasn't as good for the baby and everything. So yeah, I was approved to have a C-section, but I really did not want to if I could push myself to go through a vaginal birth. And I did. And I was very proud. And then when I got pregnant again a few years later, everyone around me kind of just assumed that I wouldn't be as scared or fearful this time around. And that wasn't the case. I was pretty much just as scared. So I went back to the Aurora clinic and went to counseling again, and this time around it's kind of, I guess it does make sense, but at the same time I think it feels, or it sounds so stupid, but a big worry of mine this time was that the baby would be bigger, because Tyrion was born, like I said, at week 34, so he was pretty small. And now this time around I was like, but wait, what if this baby actually goes to term, which we do want for the baby and everything, but I don't know that I can give birth to a baby who's full term. I just know that I can handle giving vaginal birth to a 34-week baby. And so the closer I got to 34 weeks, and especially once I passed 34 weeks in that pregnancy, I just got more and more scared, because I was like, wait, this baby's gonna be bigger. I don't know that I can do this. So I think once again I got the approval to have a C-section, but it did say in my chart or my medical records that that it was like the last way out, that I really did want to give birth vaginally, because I again felt the same way that I had the first time. And I did it this time too. So yeah, I now have 2 vaginal births in my luggage, I guess you could say, and I'm not as fearful or anxious as I was, nowhere near how bad it was with the other pregnancies. So this time around I haven't gone to any counseling, but I'm definitely starting to feel that anxiousness and worry as I'm getting closer and closer to the actual like delivery. So I think writing down my birth plan and talking about it just helps me be prepared and start thinking about it and start to kind of manage my anxiety. So yeah, that's where we are right now. And I've been talking for 11 minutes, and now we can finally get into what I've actually written down, or what my midwife has written down in my birth plan for this baby. I have everything written down on my phone, so I'm gonna be like looking down a bit every now and then, mostly because it's annoying to edit out all the looking down moments in the video afterwards, so you're just gonna have to see that. Oh, this is something new. I would like to labor at least for some time in a tub if it's possible. I haven't done that with either of the other kids, but I think that I would probably like it, maybe. I don't know. They do have one tub at this delivery clinic or whatever that I'm hopefully going to, the one that I'm like written down on. But if they're full, obviously I'm going to be sent somewhere else, and I don't think they have tubs at all clinics, so, or at all, I don't even know what to call it, but yeah, ward. You again probably know what I mean, even though I can't find the words. So yeah, possibly I will be laboring for a while in a tub if it's not like taken already. And that would be very interesting since I haven't done it before. I want an epidural as early as possible. This I know I wrote down with my last birth plan as well, with my last baby, because for me a big part of the anxiety is the pain and how I can handle the pain, and so epidural is the way to go for me. I have loved them both times, but sometimes they don't give it to you too early, because if you're not progressing or progressed enough, then the contractions can kind of die down if you get the epidural. So I've just written down that as soon as they deem it possible, I guess, at the hospital. And my midwife actually told me to say that once I call the hospital, before I'm even there, to let them know, because obviously they have maybe 1 or 2 doctors who does this, and they're busy with other women and other tasks as well, so it's good that they know even before I get there that I want the epidural and I want it fast. And the other pain relief that I actually don't even know if it should really be counted as pain relief is laughing gas or gas and air. I think it's called different things in different English speaking countries. I don't know, but yeah, that's I've had that with both as well, and for me I think it mostly just calms me. It makes me go into a bit of a fog and I don't feel the fear as much. I don't think it ever really helped with the pain, but that's fine with me, and I want to have that available to me until the very end, until the baby basically pops out. With my first, I didn't. They took the gas and air once I had to start pushing, and I was very shocked by that because I didn't know that was going to happen. And so the next time I really told them that if there's no medical reason to take the gas and air from me, just let me keep it, because it's the only thing pretty much that I can control. It's one thing that I can, like, because you put the mask on and then you count, I can't remember exactly, but you breathe in a certain amount of times and then you have to breathe out a certain amount of times. And it was just something for me to focus on, to keep me from just spiraling into the fear. So hopefully I can do that this time too. Just keep the gas and air until the baby comes out and I don't need it anymore, because then I just need my baby. And also the last pain management thing is actually a kind of a kind of pain numbing that I don't know what it's called in English, because I don't know if they do it anywhere else. Let's see if I can translate this. Pelvic bottom, or the bottom of the pelvis numbing. It's a shot. It's a needle that they put in your pelvis, and they do it at the very end when you're basically at the point where you push the baby out, or where you're like really pushing, and it's supposed to give you some pain relief, because at least in Sweden they don't really give you epidurals that they give you walking epidurals. I think that's what it's called in English. That's what we have here, and so we still feel the pain down there. It's mostly the just the contractions that you have before you start pushing that the epidural helps with. So once I've started pushing with both my kids, I've felt a world of pain. And so this method is supposed to help with that at least a little bit. I don't know if it did with my other pregnancies, or with my other deliveries, because obviously I don't know how it would have felt if I didn't have that, but that's kind of my reasoning. Why not? If it helps, it helps, and if it doesn't, then no harm done. Moving on to other like things that they might do, I guess. I have written down no episiotomy, please. And when I said that to my midwife, she was like, well, they don't really do that in Sweden anyway. It was very obvious when I talked to her that some of the things that I brought up, just because I've seen other women in other YouTube videos bring it up, it's not even an issue in Sweden, because we already have like we already do it. And with episiotomies, it's kind of the opposite. They don't do it unless you need to get the baby out like right now. Then they might do an episiotomy just because it's quicker. But again, research just shows that it's not as good as it is to tear on your own. So they do let you tear on your own if there's not like an immediate emergency. So that's good, because I don't want to tear, but I would prefer that over an episiotomy. And also skin to skin right away as the baby comes out is something that I said, and she said we can write it down just so they know how important it is to you, but this is something that everyone does. It's just skin to skin is very highly regarded in general, I think, in the medical field in Sweden. So it's just part of it. I also asked about delayed cord clamping, which I didn't know much about here in Sweden, and she said again, sometimes there is a reason to cut the cord pretty quickly because they need to get the baby over there, because they need to check on something, and then of course they'll do that. But if everything is fine and they just can put the baby on you, then they will wait to cut the cord, so that's good too. Let's see, I only have one thing left. That's crazy. But I guess, I mean, the video is already 20 minutes long, so yeah, let's just get into the very last thing. And this is actually one of the most important things, and I should have written it higher up on the list, I think, just to show that. But I told her to write down that clear communication and frequent communication with me about what's happening and why is super important to me, because even if I can't do anything about it, even if they are making a decision that I can't like change, I want to know what that decision is and why they're doing it. And that is kind of because, like I said before, pain is one of the big fears that I have, that I've kind of mapped out with my counselors before, and the other one is loss of control. And you will lose control when you give birth, because you can't control what's going on, both from your body just doing what it's supposed to do, and also because the medical professional people, they know what to do and they know what's best for you. And I just have a hard time handing that control over. But I've noticed that if I am very well informed and I know exactly what's going on, then it's easier for me to hand that control over to them and be more fine with it. So that's something that we really like pushed in the birth plan that we wrote. Just tell me what's going on. And I'm sure that they try to do that always, unless there's some reason not to. But I just felt like it was important for me that they know how important it is to me. So yeah, that's basically my birth plan. It's possible that I've missed something. I mean, my midwife wrote down all the basic information already, like what medication I'm on, and I can't even remember now, but she asked me lots of questions that are always in that form that they send in. So once I get to the hospital, they're gonna have everything that they need to treat me and to help me with the delivery, which feels very good. I don't have to bring anything, just like paper-wise. So yeah, I feel all set. And that's gonna be the video for today. If you have any questions or any ideas of something that I probably should have written down, or questions, or did I say questions? Whatever. If you have anything to talk to me about, that you want to talk to me about, why can't I speak, regarding the video, if the comments are working, then please put it in the comments below. If they are disabled, which they are most of the time for me, you can go to my Instagram. The everything is down here somewhere and in the description. And just comment on my last photo or send me a personal message or whatever. I just think it's super fun to keep this community going even when the comments are not working properly. So yeah, please get in touch with me if you have anything to add. Please like the video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more of our bi-weekly family videos, and we will see you this weekend. And thank you for watching today. Hey-do!